Marcos Molitzis responds to Bill O'Reilly not recognizing his own talking points staring back at him from a poll. That's next, but first, tonight's worst persons in the world, LeBron's to Sean Hannity. And Bush flunky Nicole Wallace claimed that this president was out of touch. Unlike President Bush, Hannity said, George Bush, who you worked for, did not play golf while this country was at war. He didn't want the families of loved ones serving, or that may have lost a loved one, seeing him on a golf course. He seemed to be far more in touch. Far more in touch with his 9-iron.
I call upon all nations to do everything they can to stop these terrorist killers. Thank you. Now watch this drive.
Oh, and Sean, remember in May of 2008 when Bush said he'd given up golf in August 2003 out of respect for the families of dead soldiers? Even though he was still playing golf in October 2003, 5 months after he claimed to have given it up. And those leg injuries that made swinging the club painful had nothing to do with it. What was they used to say on 2020? He wasn't in touch, so don't you be in touch either, Sean. Hannity finishes behind our runner-up, an unnamed 51-year-old woman from Crestview, Florida, arrested because her husband had taken away her cell phone and would not return it. Well, that was the start. She was actually arrested for then calling 911 to insist they make him give it back. When the sheriff's office told her not to call the emergency number again, she did anyway, and then a third time, and then a fourth within an hour and a half. Then came the arrest. Then she was searched, and it was learned that all that time the phone had been in her jacket pocket. But our winner, Lonesome Road's Beck. Listen to this, and you tell me where he lost his metaphorical cell phone.
He chose to use his name Barack for a reason. To identify, not with America. You don't take the name Barack to identify with America. You take the name Barack to identify with what? Your heritage? The heritage maybe of your father in Kenya, who is a radical? Is it really? Searching for something to give him any kind of meaning. Just as he was searching later in life for religion.
So by your logic, we all choose to use our names. So you chose Glenn Beck. Glenn is to identify with what? Glenn Quagmire from Family Guy? And Beck. Why, Beck? Did you choose to use the name Beck to identify with this man? Kurt Beck? Kurt Beck, the former chairman of the German Social Democratic Party? The Social Democrats, Mr. Beck? Glenn Beck, today's worst person in the world.